This is Live from the Backroom. I'm Remington Ricketts. Today's special guest, Keller Cox. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Remington. It's good to be here.
So, for the folks who may not have heard of you yet, kind of tell us a little bit about Keller and where you come from.
Yeah, so originally I'm from Houston, Texas, and I grew up in a family. I was one of three boys. I was the middle boy, and grew up on country music. Grew up on like mainstream country music. So my earliest memory of country music is in my mom's '02 white Chevrolet Suburban with like the blue carpet interior, and we had the Toby Keith Pull My Chain CD, and we would always request my mom to put on I Want to Talk About Me. And so that's like my earliest memory of country music. And then also like we'd drive to church on Sunday mornings listening to gospel music and Christian music, and then we'd flip the dial on the way back and listen to country. So I grew up on Toby Keith, Alan Jackson, George Strait, kind of more of the national mainstream country, and then didn't find out about Texas country music until I went to school at Texas A&M University. And my first exposure to Texas country music was through Flatland Cavalry. And you would think my first exposure would be through, Robert Earl Keen or Willie Nelson or kind of these greats of Texas country, Pat Green. But it was Flatland, and then I went down all those different rabbit holes of Texas country. But that's kind of a little bit about me and how I got my start as far as playing country music for a living,
And going to the Toby Keith, sadly, he has passed away.
Man.
So I think his influence from early on, the early 2000s was such, you turned the radio and it was Toby Keith on there. So
yeah, I was so sad to hear the news. And, when someone passes away, you kind of remember all of, you don't necessarily think about their catalog all the time. You hear a Toby Keith song, oh, it's Toby Keith. But then when that happened, man, I was going through all of his songs, and one that I've been listening to a lot recently is the one My List. And it's such a good song. And especially for the season of life I'm in right now, I feel like the to-dos as a up-and-comer Texas country artist, you're doing everything. I'm the merch guy, the tour manager, the van driver, that have a lot of responsibilities. And that song My List kind of, it's like, oh man, I need to go for a walk and take a deep breath and those kind of things. So man, Toby Keith, incredible.
Do you find yourself kind of drawing inspiration from the early stuff like that? For instance, the list, is that something that you kind of draw looking forward into the future as a singer-songwriter?
Kind of. It's a part of me. It's like a part of my DNA almost, so it's always there. I think that's kind of the foundation. I wouldn't say I look back to those songs and say, oh, I want to like make something sound like this 2000s country song. But when we go to record something, that's already there. So I think it's a part of my music. It's a part of who I am. Nowadays, I feel like inspiration-wise, I draw from all different types of genres and just living, driving down the highway can be an inspiring thing in and of itself, lots of time to think about life.
And we were talking a little bit about, beforehand, just about you traveling, you're doing a tour, kind of go into depth about the Costello?
Yeah, the Castellos.
Castellos.
Yeah, so I'm on tour with the Castellos. They're three sisters from Georgetown, Georgia, and they're kind of having this viral moment right now. Not kind of, they are having this viral moment, and we have the same management, so their management asked if I would open up the show for them and be their direct support, which has been a goal of mine for a long time now. And so it's a 17-show tour that's going across the United States, and we started in Georgia and Alabama, and then made our way to like Lexington, Kentucky, and then North Carolina, all the way to Ohio, Michigan, Indiana. So it's been so much fun, and then we're rooting through Texas this next weekend and playing some shows in Fort Worth on April 11th, and then in Houston, Texas on the 13th. So excited to be back in Texas playing some shows.
And as a up-and-coming artist, now that you're doing this traveling and things like that, is that something that you look forward to as time goes on? Do you like doing the shows, like the live performances?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's so much fun. I love just being a road dog, and I feel like I'm not like the typical, road dog. I'm not very like rough around the edges. Maybe talk to me in like 5 years, and I'll, have grown out my hair, and you'll be like, I didn't even recognize you. But for now, man, it's been so much fun. I love it. I love, just showing up to the venue and not knowing what to expect. I never like search up the venue before I go. It's just kind of one of my things, unless I really feel the urge to. But I just put in the map and drive there, and when I get there, I just get to look around and be like, wow, here we go, we're playing this tonight. This is exciting. Like, sometimes it surprises me, sometimes it's like, whoa, I probably should have looked this up. This is a big deal. You walk into some theater and it's like, this is insane. But I've so enjoyed the road, man. It's what I've dreamed about, and I'm doing the thing, man. It can wear on you too, is what I'm learning.
Well, big congratulations to you starting this journey. How has this process been for you? You said that today is your last stop for the radio tour. So you've been talking a lot, been playing a lot. As you kind of wrap things up, you're promoting your song "Damn Good Friends." Kind of talk a little bit about that and the process behind that.
Yeah, so Damn Good Friends. It's a long story. I'll try to make a long story shorter, but I've been a Flatland Cavalry fan since 2017. Like I was talking about, they were my first kind of exposure to Texas country music, and been a fan, still am a fan. And there was this one time I'd gotten to know their photographer / creative director. His name's Fernando Garcia, and we had met at Chili Fest in College Station, and I was just starting to write music, and he kind of took some photos for my first EP. It was called the Introduction EP, and he took some promotion photos for me. And later on, he was like, "Hey, we're going to be in College Station playing 3 shows." It was during COVID, and we're going to be playing 3 shows. You should come meet the guys and hang out. And I was like, oh, this would be crazy. But I knew enough about music at that point that you don't necessarily want to be the hangout guy or the roadie. You want to have like a reason to be there, because I've seen those people, and sometimes it's just you meet them and you never get to connect again. And so I asked Fernando, I was like, man, can I work for y'all or something? Can I do something to help out? And he called their manager, and sure enough, they needed a merch guy for that weekend. And so I'm slinging merch for Flatland Cavalry 3 nights in a row. And Cleto invites me on the bus and says, hey, welcome to the family the first night, and finds out that I do music, plays some of my music in the bus, and they're in College Station all weekend long. And at that time, I was serving as the head yell leader. So my student ID would swipe me into Kyle Field, our football stadium. And so they welcomed me into their family. So I was like, hey, I want to welcome y'all into the Aggie family. And so I took the guys on a tour of Kyle Field and told them about our traditions. And at the end of the tour, Cleto, it was the last night of their 3 nights in College Station. He said, hey, man, would you want to come up on stage and sing Traveler's Song with us? And I'd kept it cool all weekend, man. I think my mouth about dropped to the floor. And I, sure enough, got to go up on stage and sing the song that had exposed me to the genre of Texas country. And long story short, at the end of the weekend, their manager had found out I did music. They were both in town. It was Dylan Wright and Chris Cappy. And they found out I did music, and Dylan offered me a spot. So at the end of the weekend, not only had I been welcomed into the family of the group that I was just so crazy about, such a fan of, but also had management. And at that point I'm a senior in college and was, had decided to do this thing. So that was a crazy experience. And then from that, Cleto and I just kind of kept up. And he was like a mentor to me, and I would ask him questions. Hey, how do you do this? This like a year ago, I was starting to be on the road more, and was like, man, how do you stay sane on the road and all those things? And then flash forward to Damn Good Friends. We write that song, two buddies of mine, Andrew Beeson and Cam Newby, who write that song in Green, Texas on a writing retreat. And as soon as we wrote it, I was like, man, I think I need to ask Cleto to be on this. And so I developed a relationship with him to be able to just pick up the phone and call him, which is still nerve-wracking. You're talking to your role model here, I'm like, hey, Cleto, it's Keller. He's like, what's going on, man? Hey, I was like, I want to see if you'd want to feature on this song. And the first thing he said to me, he goes, man, thanks for asking me. He goes, I'm going to tell you the same thing that William Clark Green told me back in the day when I asked him to sing on Coyote. I don't know if you know that song off of Humble Folks, but it was on their debut record, Humble Folks. They asked William Clark Green to sing on Coyote, and William Clark Green told him, Cleto, if I can add to the song, if my voice will add to it, then I'm in. And so he told me the same thing. He's like, Keller, if my voice adds to the song, then let's do it. And sure enough, he was like, let's do it. And here we are. It's out on the radio now. I'm on my first radio tour. We recorded it here in Lubbock, Texas at Amusement Park Studios, which is where Flatland did their first 2 records. And we actually did it simultaneously. So I'm standing in one booth, Cleto's in the other booth. And it was a moment that I'll never forget, man. It was a huge moment for me as a singer, just to watch him work. He's a pro, he's been doing this for pretty much 10 years now at this point, a decade. And watching him work kind of pulled something out of me, and it's been nothing short of a dream. So,
and I think that's such a cool story. I love hearing the backstories, because you don't get that full circle moment until you hear the story, and so that's awesome.
And so it's not just like someone just emailed him and said, hey, would you sing on this? It's got some heat to it. It's my story. it's why I'm doing this. I don't think I'd be doing Texas country had I have not heard of Flatland. And so it's a full circle moment for me. And I still, it'll come on, or someone will be playing it and I'll listen to it and I'll be like, what in the world? I'm like, who let me do that? Like.
That's awesome. As far as the song goes itself, is there a, behind the lyrics kind of meaning? Is there anything tied to the, kind of that backstory, or is it more of a just song that you wanted to incorporate with him?
No, it's, I went to a small high school, and it was like I graduated with 45 people and never felt like I had like really, really good friends until I got to college. And so it's kind of part of my story that, I didn't meet the people who would stand beside me in my wedding until I went to A&M. And I had like 12 groomsmen next to me. So a lot of groomsmen, and I didn't meet those guys until A&M, and then got to befriend Flatland. And so the damn to me growing up was a cuss word, So at first I was like, I don't know. Someone had brought that idea into the room, and I was like, I don't know if I can latch onto that. Because for me, songwriting, it's actually Cleto taught me this, but if you don't have anything to say, don't say it. And that was what I learned about songwriting from Cleto. And so I had to sit with it for a second and be like, do I really want to say this? Is this who Keller Cox is? And then when I started thinking about my story of friendship and not meeting my friends until I went, worked at a summer camp in Hot Springs, Arkansas called Brook Hill Ranch, and met one of my best friends named Nate Dodds, and then met all of my, my groomsmen in college, whether it was through Squadron 17, which was the outfit I was in, or Aggie Men's Club, which was an organization I was a part of. And I was like, do I really want to sing this? And I was like, yep, it does. It does resonate with me, and I can sing this with some heat. Dang Good Friends doesn't come across the same way as Damn Good Friends goes. So forgive me, mother. But yeah, it's just like, if you don't have anything to say, don't say it. And I put my name on it, and that was a intentional thing. It's like, ooh, did Keller mean to say that? Absolutely, I meant to say it because I can. I've lived it, and that's what makes a song. That's what has the conviction. That a song needs to really come across in a way that represents who I am. So,
well, and perfect answer. I love that answer because it really does tie in the meaning. You're not just putting words together for no reason. You're putting them together for a reason in the way that you want it, because that's how you want it, and you can do that.
Right.
So that's awesome.
100%. So.
And we were talking a little bit beforehand as well. We were talking Flatland Cavalry. Guitar as well, stopping by Amusement.
Yes.
What do you have with you today?
Yeah, so I have, I think it's a Martin D28. You might correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a special guitar. It's the guitar that Amusement Park Studio uses to track all the records that they do. And so the record that I first heard was Humble Folks by Flatland, and it's the same acoustic guitar that Cleto played on that record, and it's the acoustic guitar that I tracked my record with. So what you're hearing today will be very similar acoustically to what the record sounds like. And I told Scott I was over there, and I was like, man, do you mind if I take it? He's like, go for it. So I did feel like I had precious cargo, though, because it's like a magical guitar, man. It every time I come into town, I try and pick it up and play it, because it's just got this unique sound to it, and I think it's got its own unique character, that Lubbock feel to it. Maybe it's Lubbock and just not just the guitar. So
we'll say it's the Lubbock air around here. Maybe it's all the dust that blows around. I don't know.
Maybe so, dude. Maybe so.
But for the non-musical players at home, what's the guitar as far as a musician goes? Does it feel different? Does it sound different for you? What's that?
This guitar?
Yes, yeah. What's the studio quality kind of about it?
It's just got a unique. Every time you pick this up, it's like got some magic to it, And I have some guitars at home that have their own magic to them, because I've written songs on them. And I think this was the first time I recorded a record with not one of my guitars, and I was like kind of hesitant at first to do that. And then I played it and heard the story behind it and was like, oh, absolutely, So I think for me, it's more like memory, it's more history, it's legacy. And that's why I chose to leave mine at the studio today and bring this one in. So
awesome. Yeah, and that's some cool little things about the music industry that doesn't always kind of get out there.
Right.
You see a guitar and you're, oh, that's just a guitar. But for you,
right.
and the stories that you have behind it makes it so much more. So
yeah, and it feels like home too. I'm here in Lubbock. That's what the record was made with, and so the songs I play today from the record will be, sound very similar. So.
And speaking of your record, we were talking technically second record.
Yeah.
And as far as your process has gone from the first one, you were still in college at the time, now that you've kind of into adulthood, past college, and release this, what's that process been like from, one to two, basically?
From recording the first one to recording this one, I would say I was so stretched thin in college. Not that I'm stretched thin now, but my full-time job right now is music. And so the first one, not that it was half-hearted or wasn't my best work, it was my best work with what I had at the moment, I was a yell leader. I was involved in several organizations, and I recorded it during COVID. And so I had time, but it also was it was me during college. And those songs are very Texas A&M, very what I was going through at that moment. And this record is more present to where I'm at now in experiencing life for the first time outside of college. And okay, got to pay the credit card off. Okay, this is on me, and now it's on my wife to figure out how we're going to provide for our family that we're building, together. And we don't have any kids yet, but still, it's like that real life kind of feeling is put into this record. And it was more like, this is my career. This is my full-time job. I don't have school to worry about. I only have this record to worry about. And I think when you listen to it, you'll hear that. And the structure of it, I've worked on it for about a year and a half. And it's an odd number of songs. So songs number 1 and 11, and every song kind of on the opposite side of the record mirror each other. So 1 and 11, 2 and 10, 3 and 9, all the way to the middle. And there's kind of this story interwoven within all the songs, and it's about my search for good in this world that I'm living in post-college.
This is one of my favorite parts of the job, is hearing the backstories, because now you go into a song or into an album and you can hear, you're listening for things like that, and you start picking up on little things. And as a listener, that's something I love to do. So
you could technically listen to it. You could press play and just listen through it all the way, which I think that's how records should be listened to. And it's hard in these days because it's a single-driven industry, and you kind of got to play the game. But when I was building this record, I was like, how can I play the game but also still have it be an album? And so you could listen to it all the way through, or listen to it 1 to 11 to 2 and all the way to the middle. So my name is Keller Cox, and this is called Damn Good Friends. I may not know much, but a 12-pack is better than 6. 24's even better, with buddies to toss them back with. When you first meet that girl, tell me who talks you up, and tell me who's got your back. When you take that first punch, the road goes on forever and the party never ends. Sometimes you can't stop the hell life puts you in. It can sure feel like heaven, just depends who you're with, 'cause you find out the real fun begins when you get some damn good friends. Every stupid idea that you had, who was there by your side? Through the good and the bad and the times that you all could have died. Yeah, we sure didn't think it was funny back then. Now we bring it up every chance that we get. The road goes on forever and the party never ends. Sometimes you can't stop the hell life puts you in. It can sure feel like heaven, just depends who you're with, 'cause you find out the real fun begins when you get some damn good friends. I've got some damn good friends. When you say yes to forever with the love of your life, who's right there beside you with tears in their eyes and a flask in their boot to pull out with a grin, saying here's to the last time we'll see you again. The road goes on forever and the party never ends. Sometimes you can't stop the hell life puts you in. It can sure feel like heaven, just depends who you're with, 'cause you find out that real life begins. Oh yeah, that's when the real fun begins, when you get some damn good friends. I've got some damn good friends. When you get some damn good friends. I've got some damn good friends. All right.
And that was Keller Cox with Damn Good Friends. What a treat to hear in person, man. That's a killer song. Great job on that. And man, such a treat to hear in person.
Man, thanks for giving me a place to play at Remington.
Well, of course. And I think it is that guitar. It's got something in it. I could hear it there the whole time. It was perfect. It just hit a little bit different.
It's got this ring to it, man.
Yeah,
so
it's nice.
It's like you're singing with someone else.
Well, that's awesome. And that was Damn Good Friends, Keller Cox. We're playing it on 106.1 Flip FM, promoting it off of his new album, Good Again, Amen. And now it's Keller Cox and Good Again, Amen, the title track off your new album. Talk a little bit about what went into this song and kind of the backstory for that being the title selection for the new album.
Yeah, so there was one day that I was actually scrolling a little bit too much on social media, and for some reason it looked like all the bad guys were winning. And I remember growing up, and it was like Luke Skywalker won, Indiana Jones always won, John Wayne always won. And I started thinking about it more and more, and started thinking about the way I was raised and how my mom and dad raised me, and kind of put pen to paper and wrote like a good chunk of this song, and realized that it was maybe a little bit too special of a song to try and finish on my own. And so I invited two of my good buddies, Andrew Beeson and Cam Newby, who also wrote Damn Good Friends with me, to write this song with me. And man, I think we just did it justice. I think having three people in the room did this song more justice than just it would have been with me only writing it. And it represents who I am, how I was raised, and what I stand for. And I always like to tell crowds at live shows, if you don't know who Keller Cox is by the end of this song, it means either that I'm a horrible songwriter and storyteller, or they just might not be that good of a listener. Yeah, it goes like this. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. Look 'em in the eye when you're shaking hands. Growing up to talk to, treat somebody like you ought to. But these days feels like we're so caught up. We all lost sight, who's wrong, who's right. We all pick sides like life ain't hard enough. What happened to the good guys? What happened to the cowboys? What happened to the times get tough, but you still stick around, boys? I know it ain't the same as back then, but sometimes I get tired of watching all the bad guys when I can use a little good again. Amen. Late, the words that you said meant something. The words in red meant more. What happened to the good guys? What happened to the cowboys? What happened to the times get tough, but you still stick around, boys? I know it ain't the same as back then, but sometimes What happened to the cowboys? What happened to the times get tough but you still stick around? Boys, what happened to the good guys? What happened to the cowboys? What happened to the times get tough but you still stick around? Boys, I know when it's the same as back then. Sometimes I get tired of watching all the bad guys when I could use a little good again. Amen. Oh, good again. Amen. What happened to the good guys? What happened to the cowboys?
And that was Keller Cox with Good Again, Amen. Such an awesome song, and really, this world could use more good again, and that's an amen.
Truth, man.
Amen. Once again, want to thank you for coming by.
Thank you so much for having me.
If we want to check out more of Keller Cox, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so social media, it's Keller T. Cox. That's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the things, TikTok, all of that. And then on my website is kellercox.com, and you can find all of my tour dates on my website.
Well, once again, want to thank you for coming back to Lubbock, and sure would love to have you back here in the studio in the future. Look forward to seeing more of Keller Cox and in the future, so we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for having me today. And also, I forgot to say, if you want to listen to my music, it's available wherever you listen to music at. And thanks to you guys, it's on the radio now too. So
yes, tune in. We're running Damn Good Friends right now on 106.1 Flip FM. Tune in, Keller Cox. It's been an awesome time.
Yeah,
here.
dude. Remington, thanks for having me, bro.
Thank you. This is Remington Ricketts live from the back room. We'll see you next time.